The back of the return ball from Shalalile, but it was near neck height. That's there from Kekana. Just wonderful midfield play from Mokoena. Wants it back from Suarez, but pressure from Tika means the Argentinian back to Kekana now. Receives again. Lunga able to look up. Saez. Bit of control for the South African champions. A lot of space for Lunga on the switch. Quena instead finds Jaden Adams. Can they create something to silence the crowd here at the Olympic Stadium in Rades? They're happy to just take the sting out of things. Mokoena, Mudau offers. Tracking back Yusuf Belaili. Sundowns happy to just recycle possession, not force it. They don't need a goal, but wow, there's a lot of space for Jaden Adams. He thought about the shot. Instead goes to Mudau, wants it back. Now he might shoot. He does, but it's not up to his usual high standards. The 23-year-old Cape Town-born midfielder came through now famous academy at Stellenbosch. Made the early season switch to the Sundowns. Now a fully fledged South African international alongside this man. Mokoena lays it off, now swung in after Saez couldn't time his spring. Well marshalled by Bushniba. So goal is still here in this second leg. Peter Shalalile's first leg winner, still separating these two giants of African football. Shalalile shielding the ball well. Finds Ribeiro. Showing real composure despite the pressure from Ogbelu. Lunga. Just tried to divert that more likely to Arthur Saez. Shalalile tried to make something of it. Allende just having it flicked away from him by Ian Sassi. Oh, the pressure may pay off. Ogbelu robbed by Ribeiro. Cuts it onto his favoured left foot. Oh, it's just swung wide. It all came from the press of Jaden Adams and Ribeiro. And the Brazilian number 10. Just couldn't find the far corner. The big chance of the match, Mohamed Tugai. Now not quite as clear cut, but Ribeiro on that left foot that's been so devastating for the Sundowns this season. It's not far away. And the Sundowns starting to really control the affair and finishing the half strongly. The crowd certainly finding the frustration. Ribeiro into Allende, takes it on, cracks the crossbar. What an effort from the Chilean. Set up here by Ribeiro. He had no right to beat Bashir Ben Said from there. The 26-year-old was not far away a day after turning 26th. That would have been some belated birthday prize to himself. Of course, why not buy yourself a birthday present? And it would have added to just one goal this season, netted in the PSL, the 3-1 away win at Mamelodi Gallants a couple of months ago. It's an opportunity to go along with the curling effort of Ribeiro. Two minutes added on, and Esperance look for something special right at the death. It comes to the main man. The Belaili can't get it through the crowd, and now there is a flag up. Thumbs up to near side official. Just went that bit early, so it was clipped over. Allende seeing his effort, clipped the barn over. Just couldn't get the dip. Allende in the referee's ear. I'm not sure it's anything to do with his near goal experience. But, certainly thoughts for Mayer Kanzari. At the moment, Esperance are top of Tunisian's Ligue 1. Only by a better head-to-head record from beating Monastir early in the season. They still have to play the reverse fixture. Monastir on the same points, 53, but they're in here. Roman Williams got his head to it because he knew he was on the edge of the area. Udau, the bounce challenge, but it breaks for Esperance. The referee says play on. Belaili goes down and gets the free kick. Belaili certainly has shown his aptitude from delivery. See this again, cut back. Don't think there's much in that, but maybe with the previous foul. But here he was popping through. When Williams was quick, then he hesitated, made sure he got his head to stop Ian Sassi. Well, it's Konate who was felled in the build-up. 18-year-old, under 23 Cote d'Ivoire international already. Well, this may be the last action of the half to come. We've already played the 2 minutes minimum. This was such a great chance for Ian Sassi, but Williams, aware of his surroundings and aware of the danger. So this massive opportunity, but it's smashed into the wall. belated cross, but Roman Williams, well, a little bit of panic there, but it worked nicely. But before the Sundowns can really counter, the half-time whistle sounds. A hugely entertaining first half, although not the level of chances, particularly Esperance would have hoped for. Mohamed Tugai with a mammoth opportunity after about a minute, but Roman Williams denied him. The Sundowns then really took control the second part of the first half. Lucas Ribeiro with a shot flash past the post, and then Marcelo Allende striking the crossbar, the little Chilean there. But at the half-time break, it is the Sundowns who still lead by 1-0 on aggregate. They are 45 minutes away from the semi-finals. That's why the bench are playing cheerleaders. But Esperance know they still have time on their side. But they just haven't had the possession or the chances. That massive opportunity for Tugai. Sundowns, more chances. One off the crossbar, one flash past the post. Yet they haven't made Bashir Ben Said make a save. But that's not what the South African champions need to do at the moment. At this stage, they are going through by the goal of Peter Shalulile when they won the first leg in South Africa. So the crowd here were absolutely jumping before kick-off and at the start of the match, and the roof would have come off. Tugai managed to slot past Williams, but that let off for the Brazilians' defence, allowed them to grow into the fixture, and they've just sucked all the life out of the Olympic Stadium with their passing and movement. But a goal would certainly change things, and Esperance will be desperately searching it come the second half. It's not panic stations yet, but it may well turn to be if it gets into the latter stages. At the half-time here in Rades, Esperance de Tunis 0, Mamelodi's 0, and the South Africans with that 1-goal aggregate advantage. Well, a repeat of the semi-final from 12 months ago, this time the quarter-final stage, and unlike last year, it's Maya Kanzari whose side needed to come from a goal down, and they should have been level. But Mohamed Tugai strode through, his finish a little safe, the save sensational. And then the Sundowns started to show a bit of life. Top scorer, domestic front, Lucas Ribeiro, unable to get his free kick up and down. And then the main man for Esperance, Yusuf Balaili, trying to find the on-Russian Raed Bushniba, but Williams alert to come and pluck. And a ball down the line again, Belaili, this time getting to the byline, a wonderful cross. Kaliso Mudau brilliantly tucking in to avert a tap-in for Rodrigo Rodriguez. He was certainly the biggest threat. Belaili, it's the Algerian who looks their best bet. His pass finding Tika. He wanted it back. Instead, the midfielder clipped it in. But what a challenge. Great covering from Mokoena, South African international, blocking the path again to Rodriguez. And then Ribeiro, after great pressing from him and Jaden Adams, swung it past the post. Not a million miles away. Although Ben Said didn't have a save to make in that first half. He didn't save this one, but his bar came to his rescue. Wonderful effort from the Chilean Marcelo Allende, and almost ended up with doubling the Sundowns' advantage on aggregate. But then Williams again showing he was alert to danger. Lovely ball clipped over. Ian Sassi beaten to it though by the Sundowns and South African captain. So the half-time break, goalless. The Sundowns still lead 1-0 on aggregate. Welcome back to the Olympic Stadium in Radez. Esperance Tunis out early and in need of the kind of start they almost got from Mohamed Tugai when Youssef Belaili's set piece to level this tie in quick neck break time. It didn't come to pass, and the Sundowns on top. When Williams with vital save from Tugai, and then brilliantly off his line as the Tifo boys have really been working overtime. Smoking pipe, no bother. You can see the tats from titles gone by. 2019, the last edition that Tunis were champions. 2016, since the Sundowns became the second South African side to lift the crown after Orlando Pirates in 1995. Both PSL sides in the quarterfinals. Will one or both make it through to the semi-finals? They will be separated if they do. And what a time it could be for South African football. The national side, top of their World Cup group, and potentially two clubs in the hat for the semi-finals. But Esperance want plenty to say about that. Bushniba pushing so high up on that right-hand side, but Williams again sweeper keeping to perfection. Long ball again down this right flank, but Mokwena battling away, but he's been robbed. It's cut back. Belaili didn't have his balance, and it wasn't much better for a wild effort from the captain, Ben Amida. Well, a rare time that Dabo Mokwena saw himself beaten. The cut back on. The toe played into the captain's path. The wild effort. That's a really smart pass from Ogbelu. That's a little bit slack at the start of the half for Mokwena and the Sundowns. Tika clips it, but just too much on it for the advancing run. Williams just seeming to be checking the ball. Happy enough to get on with it eventually. Jaden Adams. Ribero's poor touch, but he does shepherd it back to Adams, who now gets his head down. And it's a lovely ball, but was Sholili ahead of the defender. Flag stays down for now, and then it's up against the Namibian. Easy decision, and Amida kept himself in a good position. Well, a yellow card handed out. Shrug of the shoulders from Grant Kakana. And that ball swung across right at the back post. Just couldn't get finishing touch. Ian Sassi. Onside. Wonderful ball whipped in. No chance in the end to turn it on goal. Confirmation that Konate and Rodrigo Rodriguez have made way at the half-time break. We saw Chiab Jibeli with that ball across the face of goal. And the man closest to it initially, Ashraf Jibri, the other where number 19 to have come on. So double change at the break for Maher Kanzari as he looks to get a bit of zip and zeal back into the Esperance performance that was being taken over by the visitors. Adams winning a important free kick just to take a little bit of the sting out of this fast start once again at the start of a half for Esperance. Can they maintain it? As control of the match really got away from them throughout that first half. Well, he's made a couple of changes, Kanzari. Can they change the way this match has been going? Which has been relative comfort for the side from South Africa. Not being rushed into things. Launch long. Kakana, first player to be booked. Heading forward, Allende finds Jaden Adams, who moves on to Ribeiro, who's just getting ahead of steam. There's space there for Allende. Instead goes to his compatriot Arthur Sales. Once again, the Sundowns more than happy to keep possession rather than just push forward for a goal that at the moment they don't need. And obviously could change quickly. They have shown plenty of control, Miguel Cardoso's side. You can see leaving them forward. Just had to get rid. Mudau. No, he's never going to catch that. The Bafana international. Now a bit of space to work in. Ian Sassi. Fine challenge from Mokoena. And Lunga did well, but referee initially not quite sure what that was. Somewhat of a free kick, but either way, Esperance are forced back. Sales. Some great pressing. Allende putting the pressure on Ogbelu. Tugai has to use Ben Said. Took a risk there. It gets some distance on it, but it's won back by the Sundowns. Sales bundled over. Now the crowd staying behind their side, retaining belief in a match that's tight, taut with tension, while the Sundowns are on top in terms of control and possession. Still only a goal that separates these sides. Well, Belu with a couple of fouls in quick succession, walking a caution tightrope. Dow, rare time he's been able to get forward. Such a exciting player, driving from the back to join the attack. It's mostly a defensive job tonight. Protecting the ball, Youssef Belaili. Clipped in, but the wavelength not being read as Williams just eats up a few precious seconds. And Sassi was a match winner in this tie when it was a semi-final. Second leg here, with Shaniba, the fullback, having won the first leg. Sassi made sure that then boss Miguel Cardoso side met Al Ali in the final, ending up with the runners-up medal. And now Miguel Cardoso swapping sides, this time a last eight tie. And it's another booking, this time for Peter Shulalili. Namibian, not in agreement, but electing to accept it nonetheless. Oh, that's short. Shalalile almost in. Ishia Ben Said sold short. Almost a horror moment. Ball in behind. Here's Belaile. Madua up with him, but he goes to the byline. Drives it across. Vital interception, Lunga. And then Ribeiro on the spin. Mokoena helps out Sales. He's delighted to win that set piece. Oh, Jabali just too impatient. The substitute through the back. Well, it's another booking. Ribeiro this time. Sundowns feeling hard done by. Esperance feeling it's just, in terms of this, we'll see this back. Well, he does stand on the toe, but A bit harsh having played the ball. But no doubts there was contact. And once again, a decent start to the half has not provided the goal needed. Now frustrations surfacing as we edge towards the hour mark. Charging down this left flank, Belaili goes to the byline again, but Mudau strong. He thinks it should be a goal kick. He's not going to get that decision. A further change coming for Esperance. Could be a very intriguing one, given the opposition. The Rowan Williams focusing on the here and now. Corner clipped in. Free header. Well, Tame cries for a penalty. The referee will be the one who will get word from VAR if there's something worth reviewing. Everyone looks to reset. That's clipped out under no pressure. That's why the apologies handed out by Tugai. "30 minutes remain plus stoppage time." As Mudau finds Ribeiro, who's somewhat rugby tackled to the ground, and yet it's a free kick to Esperance. Trotting across is Issa C. I'm not seeing eye to eye. So 3 bookings for Miguel Cardoso's side. Kekana, Ribeiro and Shalalile. It's a goal they desperately want to all but finish this tie, potentially. Sares, Ribeiro waited on it, digs out a shot. It's the first meaningful save from Bashir Ben Said. Comfortable it was. 32-year-old signing for Esperance from Monastir in the summer, the club that challenging Esperance's title. It's been a second choice most of the season. Stepping in for this huge affair at the quarter-final stage. So on comes a well-known face to the Mamelodi Sundowns squad, particularly his international teammates. Elias Mokwana is on. Off goes Ian Sassi. Just hasn't been the Brazilian's day. Here's Mokwana, going to break the hearts of his compatriots. The former Sekukun United winger. And here's Mudau, cannot clear! And it's all square, but it's another substitute who came on at half-time. Ashraf Jabari has levelled the affair in the blink of an eye. And despite all the Sundowns control, it's the bloody goal fans who are losing control. 1-0 on the night to Esperance. It is all square in this quarter-final tie. Well, he made the changes, and how it's paid off. And it looks to be onside as he splits Suarez and Kakana. And Ashraf Jebri, who signed from Zarzi mid-season, has come up with a huge goal. The 23-year-old made the most of his loan spell at Zarzis, and he's come back to score a massive Champions League goal after a hat-trick against Sagrada Esperanza. This one will mean oh so much more. Ronwen Williams beaten. It's really game on now at the Olympic Stadium in Radez. Well, he went away to make a name for himself at Esperance. 4 goals in 13 league appearances in the first half of the season. The 23-year-old has added a further 4 goals, 8 as he's joint third best scorer. Incredibly above what Esperance have had. Yusuf Belaili next best with 5. Seems to be a wait for full confirmation. Certainly didn't look onside. In fact, it's a substitution as Artur Sales is heading off, and we have a very different match on our hands now. Well, talking of goal scorers, Lucas Ribeiro, the top scorer in South Africa's top division. Ekrem Reiners, the only 9 goals he's got. The Sundowns have the best 2 scorers in the division. "22 PSL goals now on the pitch. And it's a positive change from Miguel Cardoso to try and combat what is now a raucous atmosphere of elation, and now the return of real belief. Well, Jebri wants confirmation. We do seem to be waiting. He did look to be between Suarez and Kakana. Referee C trying to keep the emotions calm. Udau was unable to keep it out after Jebri had lobbed Ronwen Williams. Unless there's another check being made as opposed to just offside. Well, it was just the one goal that decided the final in the last edition. An own goal 4 minutes into the second leg from Olu gave the title to Al Ahly. Esperance desperate to return to the semi-final stage, where they defeated Mamelodi Sundowns 2-0 on aggregate just under a year ago. No clear word why such a long stoppage. Not even sure the Sundowns believe they're going to get out of jail here. Ashraf Jebri, the 23-year-old, looks to have got his biggest goal for Esperance in his short career. But waiting for confirmation. Well, offside. The goal has been ruled out. And it is a massive let-off for the Sundowns. Well, clearly it was a lot tighter than it looked. We only saw it back the one time. That's clearly why it was taking so long. In fairness, not too many complaints, at least on the pitch, from the Esperance players. Very admirable response to a highly combustible situation given what's at stake. They still brought on Ikram Rainers. There's plenty more goals on the pitch for the Sundowns. And now Esperance looking to focus on retaining and regaining parity. Tika with a strike blocked. Looks to hurt Mokoena. Ribeiro ending up down, not getting much sympathy from the Blood and Gold fans. Well, this is the offside. Wow, that is razor sharp. The margins absolutely minuscule, but as the rules stand, it's very much black and white. If he's ahead, it's not a goal. Whether there are changes, and there have been some proposed, particularly Arsene Wenger, about a player needing to be fully ahead of a defender to be called offside or something of that ilk. And it may help the game not lose goals to be honest, infractions that really don't bring much of an advantage. So Ashraf Jebri denied monumental goal by the slenderest of margins. And Mamelodi Sundowns now have 20 minutes or so to survive. But they know a goal would put them so close. It's hard to see Esperance coming from 2 goals down. Of course, not impossible, given the state of play and where the clock is. Well, Belaili wasn't getting much help from the substitute Javali. Looked offside for the most part. So another change for the visitors to Rades. Not a great surprise. Jaden Adams heading off. An extra physicality in midfield. Another of the Brazilians, Bafana internationals, Batusi Obas. He replaces young Jaden Adams. Williams launches long. Will skip to get out of the way. And now the captain feeds it to the substitute Jabali, but it's a poor ball that's easily gathered. Allende upended. And there's real concern because it's a knock to the head. Well, Allende not looking well. And probably what he doesn't need is both squads of players hanging around Ribeiro, bumping. I don't know if it was Tugai. I think fortunately the Chilean looks okay, but there was certainly big concern. It's not nice. And the Sundowns certainly furious with the challenge. And it came from one of their own. Makwana heading through with this. The offside. Well, you can see why they took so long, but because it's not the clearest of decisions. But those are the tight margins on offsides, and getting them right on the biggest stage, what matters most. The reason the referee wouldn't have gotten involved, factual decision from VAR. That's why a referee C was as unknowing as anyone else as he waited for the word. It's certainly going to be a massive talking point, given the fact it's goalless. The Sundowns leading by just the one goal from the first leg. Allende thankfully okay. Makwana. Little flick there, but it's cleared away, but only as far as Tika. Tugai still heavily strapped, but battling on. Benamida forced back to the centre back. So goalless on the night. The Sundowns leading by one on aggregate. Chance to deliver. Instead goes to the edge of the area. Tika. Spread by Ogbelu. It's into a good area, but just not enough curve back. No one getting across Williams. It's been a tough shift for Shuralile. A little bit more withdrawn now with Ikram Rayners coming on. They haven't been able to create very much in this second half. A couple of little shoves there from Mudau. Against his international teammate who's offside. Still time for Esperance, but it is starting to run out for Kanzari's men. Ball having already gone out. Allows the Sundowns to eat up a few more precious seconds. Well, but now, I mean, you can see Kanzari slamming his invisible watch. But players are being allowed to do this, and Esperance would do exactly the same thing if this was the position they found themselves in. Another talk of potential rule changes if players take too long. The decision is reversed, so the throw would end up being for the other side, something that could actually encourage, rather than players knowing. The worst case is a booking if they even ever see that. Mokoena loses out. Ball spread by Tika. Now Youssef Belaili. Ball back to number 8. He knew he couldn't lose it. Did well in the end, because when he did, there was then cover from Ogbelu. In the end, it spread wide and didn't get anywhere. Standing firm, Hamza Jalasi. Defender again, his captain's calling for on the far side. Instead he goes more direct. Ashraf Jibri losing track of it. Oh boy, eventually acting to the call of Ben Hamida, who now clips forward. Really good run from Mokoena. Clips it back. Always going to be a difficult skill. Jebri couldn't direct it towards goal, and it's just crept out for a goal kick. I thought he'd scored the leveler in the tie. Kanzari and Esperance are continuing what has been an ultimately frustrating second leg. Can they dig deep as Miguel Cardoso prepares to make another change? Winning the ball back, Amida. Jabali. Lali back to midfielder as Amida made the decoy run and then plays decoy again. Corner kick. Obas sent on to help protect their 1-goal advantage from the first leg. Bumping into international teammate Mokoena. Jabali. Well, trying to join the affair. Now trotting on, running on. Malibongwe, Prince Kosa. He's there to get in the way. Clear to the halfway line to Ogbelu. But the flag up against Jabali. Taking the corner, couldn't get back on side. Well, tighter than it looked. Just need to trot back a little bit more to be sure. Williams. Well, trying to get in behind. Might have been a flag up against Belaili. But there won't be now. Ogbelu Thought about a strike, tried to then clip it into free space. Sundowns tried to break clear, but here come the blood and gold of Esperance. Chance to deliver, but just over the head of Jebri. Allende upending. Another chance for a dangerous delivery. Tika taking a sore one. Long white and blue line. Swung into a great area. Williams got something to it. Referee's whistle stayed silent. And now the Sundowns can break. Ikrim Rainers tries to find Peter. Shulalile hits the target. Ben Said. He's been sharing the goalkeeper gloves in the competition with 20-year-old international Amanala Memic. It's the youngster wearing the number 1 who's been the number 1 in Ligue 1. Ben Said showing why he's a more than dependable pair of gloves. Punching away, and Shulalile finally could strike for goal. And now the Namibian linking with Rainers again. The Sundowns finding possession and chances at a perfect moment into the final 5 minutes in which they've survived the threat posed by Esperance. The danger not over yet, as Kansari begs for a press, but there's tired legs out there. Oh, skipping around Mokoena while others are tiring. Seems to have his Duracells in. Allende. Nice little touch there, space opening up. Sundowns, this is what they did for the second half, particularly of the first period. Now just looking to suck the life out of this tie. Allende on the spin. Well, a hard challenge and a yellow card is coming out. The first received by an Esperance player. As another change is afoot. Onush Ogbelu diving in, and Mokoena feeling the effects. So Mohamed Rayan Amrouni preparing to come on. 22-year-old striker. Another like Jebri, who went on loan. 6 goals in his period with Solomon. Returned in January. Has yet to score in Esperance colours, but this was the opportunity for Shulalile. Lovely touch to get it out of his feet. Hit the target, but too close to the upstanding Ben Said. So Ashraf Jebri on loan, and is in amongst the goals. Amrouni wants to emulate that as he replaces Usam Tika. They need a goal, or they are crashing out. And if they do get a late leveller, we're almost certainly going to go to penalties. because there's no extra time. And 1-0 to Esperance, the only score that would take us to spot kicks. Sundowns want to avoid that. All down the line, and Rangers accepts and it's going behind. Miguel Cardoso took Esperance to the CAF Champions League final last year and defeated Mamelodi Sundowns en route to that final. Now he's so close to taking the Brazilians to the semi-finals at the expense of the side he led to the Tunisian Ligue 1 title and runner-up in this competition last season. Maya Kanzari likely holding the position until the club decide who is going to be next. And it looks like he's going to come up short with the club of his heart. He won 3 Ligue 1 titles as a player, as well as the African Cup Winners' Cup back in the day. But maybe his players can pull a rabbit out of the hat. And the trick has gone awry. Mokwana unable to keep that in. Well, there's going to be some nervous looks around the Olympic Stadium in Radez. 9 minutes added on, and Esperance only need the 1 goal. One last push. Esperance need a goal. Sundowns desperate to shut the match down. But here come the blood and gold, and it just runs too far. Kakana not happy with that little nudge there from Djibri. Big intake of breath from Ronwen Williams. What a huge clean sheet this would be. What a way to return to the scene of such a monumental disappointment last season, and to exercise the demons to return to the last 4 of the CAF Champions League. Orlando Pirates will want to join them, and they take to the field in the final CAF Champions League tie. Orlando Pirates themselves leading 1-0 from the first leg against MC Alger. Can the top 2 in South Africa be in the last 4 of the CAF Champions League? Or will Esperance find late inspiration? Mudau looked a little uncomfortable but recovered well. Now does even better, given he was sold short by Koza. Good fighting though from Esperance. It's all a bit of a panic. What a challenge that is. And a great ball. Obas with the winning of possession. Mokoena spreading it, as does Rangers. They're not so far away, but there's still over 6 minutes remaining. Ball in behind. Shuralile, though, well, he was heading towards the corner, but maybe knew the flag was coming anyway. So 3.5 minutes of the 9 added on. A winner on the night for Esperance would force penalty kicks. Driving in Mokwana. Allende finds only the feet of Tugai. Drives forward. Spreads it. Oh, but then a slip by Ben Amida. Mudau will not be too upset to earn the free kick. Well, the captain showing his frustration. And Williams take his time and try and get decent distance. Kanzari can only watch on and hope. Ashraf Jabari did have the ball in the net to level this aggregate score up, only for the most marginal of offsides to rule the goal out. They have to go again. Ball swung in, knocked down. Mudau got there. Penalty kick. Oh, incredible. The drama. But is it a free kick? Handball it is for sure, but the paint's come out. The hand was up from the substitute, but it was on the edge of the area. Now Bongwe Kosa penalised, but I think a lot inside the Olympic Stadium thought it was a penalty kick. Well, Kosa now the one helping Williams to set the wall, the 21-year-old in his first breakout season with the club. Has scored in the Champions League in a 4-0 qualification match against Bababan Swallows. And under 600 minutes before tonight of CAF Champions League football, particularly in terms of the latter stages. What a moment. Youssef Belaili. Jalasi stepping in front, just getting warned about being caught offside or blocking the goalkeeper's view. What a moment. Kanzari sat pensive. There's a huddle to decide exactly how they're going to make the most of this opportunity. Youssef Belaili, surely the favourite here. Up against Ron Williams. Flick to the Algerian who slips. And it's gathered in the second attempt by Williams. Ever closer to the semi-finals. Well, the slip certainly took power and accuracy out of it. Push penalised by Reiners. Just over a minute remaining, although there was a long time before the free kick was taken. So we may have more than the minimum 9 minutes. But here come the Sundowns. Ikram Reiners. Is he going for the corner? Well, he tried, but Tugai with a brilliant challenge. He somehow mustered the strength to get through this tie despite going down early in the first half. Heavy strapping on that right thigh. Mudau waits for his goalkeeper, as it wasn't going to reach Belaili. He flops down. And the South African champions, the 2016 champions of Africa, are so close to return to the Final Four. It'll be the third time in 7 years they've reached the semi-finals. The other years, it's been heartbreak in the quarterfinals. But that is what is awaiting Esperance. It's all over! Mamelodi Sundowns' revenge job is complete. They were denied a final spot in last year's edition due to a 2-0 Esperance aggregate win. But this time, a 1-0 win in South Africa, followed up by a goalless draw, and they are through to the last four of the CAF Champions League. Heartbreak for Esperance. The four-time winners went all the way to the final, only to lose by an own goal against Al Ahly. But they've fallen at the quarter-final stage. And it is wild celebrations for Mamelodi Sundowns. The Sundowns were in control for a lot of the match, but Esperance had big moments that just did not go their way. Koza just happy being penalised for a handball, didn't cost his side. And what will be said about Ashraf Jebri's ruled out goal as Mokwana speaks with his compatriots. Ben Said keeping a clean sheet, but the Tunisian champions needed to score. Tugai with a monumental chance after 90 seconds. But in the end, it wasn't to be. And it looks like the Sundowns will be facing off against Al Ahly as they look to have completed the job against Al Hilal Omdurman. What a classic tie that'll be, but as we look at the overall stats, Esperance improved their possession with the changes made. Jabali and Jebri coming on at the break. But they just couldn't create big enough chances. And the big one that came ruled off for the slenderest of VAR offside decisions. The Sundowns did strike the crossbar from Allende, but they didn't need to score. And they are through to face Al Ahly in the semi-finals. And Pyramids FC held on to defeat Asfar on aggregate. Orlando Pirates, MC Alger tomorrow. We'll see who will make the semi-final with Pyramids, who are really making their breakthrough in the CAF Champions League, having had success in the Confederations Cup. So Mamelodi Sundowns against Al Ahly, the record and reigning champions of this competition. But will there be a chance of an all-South African final? We'll find out as MC Alger try and keep Algerian participation, but have to come back, as Esperance failed to do, a one-goal deficit from the first leg. So heartbreak for the blood and gold support of Esperance. They went all the way to the final seconds of the 2024 edition. This time out already in the last 8. The Sundowns can keep dreaming of adding to their solitary crown in 2016. But it's going to be a monumental tie against the reigning champions Al Ahly. Well, this, the repeat of last edition's semi-final, but unlike 12 months ago, it was Maher Kanzari on the home bench as Mohamed Tukai missed a gilt-edge opportunity. The first action of the match, what a save, Ronald Williams. As the South Africans, coached by Miguel Cardoso, who was in charge when Esperance put the Sundowns out 12 months ago, 2-0 on aggregate, but this time the South Africans came with a 1-goal lead, but some smart defending from Mudau and the rest, keeping Esperance at bay. Youssef Belalili was the best opportunity, but he couldn't find Rodrigo Rodriguez, despite hitting the byline. A fine cutback after getting away from Lucas Suarez. The Algerian again linking up, this time with Tike. Tunisian then clipping in a ball, but what a saving lunge from Thibaut Mokoena, tucking in vitally. Mamelodi Sundowns knew a goal would surely end the tie. Top scorer domestically in South Africa, Lucas Ribeiro, was not far away from the far post. And then the Brazilian laid it off for the Chilean, and Marcelo Allende smacking the crossbar, just not getting enough dip to beat Bashir Ben Said. A let-off, and then Ronald Williams smartly out of his box to get there ahead of Ian Sase. Goalless on the night at half-time. And 2 substitutes coming on, Jabali and Ashraf Jebri, the young striker. But it was set up for Belaili. And then the captain, Ben Hamida, tried to make the most of it, coming his way, but wayward with the strike. Good battling from the substitute